if anything, I'm almost kind of surprised that they're underdogs. Like, Nick Saban is a dog. I mean, they're giving that to us again. Like, that to me is like,
Point and a half.
that would be the trap, right? So I mean, it's kind of a pick 'em, right? I mean, it's even money, but yeah, I was surprised Michigan opened up as the favorites because is Michigan better than Alabama, like on either side of the ball? Like, is their defense better? I know statistically they are, but like, look at the offenses they've had to play this season. Like, I think they're pretty comparable. Maybe they're a little bit better offensively. I know they have some bigger names. Like, I know Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards are a better running back tandem. Maybe their receiving core is a little bit better. But I think Milroe's better than McCarthy. I mean, I know a lot of people like McCarthy. I think personally he's a little overrated. So, especially the way Milroe's playing as of late. So yeah, I mean, both teams, it's pretty similar on both sides of the ball. And then, both head coaches are really, really good. But Nick Saban's the greatest of all time, and he's been in this spot numerous situations. Jim Harbaugh's lost his 2 college football playoff appearances. So yeah, I mean, to me, I was surprised that Bama was a dog. Were you? Were you surprised? Like, if I didn't tell you what this line was, and I told you Bama was playing Michigan in the Rose Bowl, who would you think was going to be favored?
Oh, I think it had to be Michigan, just because they're the undefeated team. I still think that the Big Ten holds enough weight that Michigan would be favored in this game. And Alabama has come on hot down the stretch, but also I think a lot of people are having trouble forgetting that Auburn game. Because think about that one play. What was it? 4th and 20 something? 4th and 30 something?
31. Yeah.
4th and 31. If that would have, not came to pass, Alabama wouldn't even be in this situation. So I think some people are seeing that last game and saying, okay, well, Alabama played great against Georgia, but there is a team that struggles in there somewhere, and it was just a couple games ago.
I'm going with Jalen Milroe. I think it's pretty obvious. I think the MVP of Texas is Steve Sarkisian calling the plays, because you can put anybody in that offense, anybody against that Oklahoma State defense, and they're scoring. Ewers played great, but I think Sark is probably, the bigger reason for Texas. Dylan Johnson in Washington had an awesome game. When you think of Washington, you think about their receivers, you think about their passing attack. But, they had already beaten Oregon. And so, it was nothing new. They just did that again. Deebo Samuel, there's so many weapons on the 49ers. That Eagles defense isn't very good. They were all beat up. A lot of his, the one touchdown he had was all set up by the blocking. It was a great play call when the Eagles brought a blitz. Another touchdown was when he broke one tackle and then nobody was around him and he scored. The MVP is Jalen Milroe. He just beat a team that won 29 straight games. They were the number 1 team in the country, and this is a culmination of his season. And what a great story for a guy who didn't know he was going to be the starting quarterback coming into the season. He loses. Everybody doesn't want him to be the quarterback anymore in Tuscaloosa. He gets benched. He comes back, and what does he do? He doesn't lose a single game in SEC play. He wins the SEC championship, and he leads his team into the college football playoff. He also had to answer in the 4th quarter. Georgia cut it to 3 points twice, and Milroe had an answer both times. The first time, he responded with a touchdown drive. The second time, he had 2 runs to get 2 critical first downs to ice that game against Georgia. You beat Georgia, you're the MVP on this Monday.
All right, so I agree, but I'm going to give it to a different person. And I think the credit should go to none other than Alabama head coach Nick Saban. Yes, Jalen Milroe certainly had to execute, but Nick Saban just won his 11th SEC title. And think about all the eras that Nick Saban has been through. He has done an absolutely fantastic job of adapting to the times. Because in this day and age, the day and age of the NIL, where the players are actually getting paid, you would think that the players take center stage. But no, it's Nick Saban, who I feel like had the biggest weekend of them all. Because look at the coaching job he's done with Jalen Milroe. There was a game that he benched Jalen Milroe earlier in the season. And I think it takes a lot of guts to do that type of move to that type of quarterback and not expecting something to happen. Because look at how easily quarterbacks can transfer. Imagine trying to walk on eggshells around some of these kids' personalities. But Nick Saban has done such a fantastic job even in a new era where, once again, even look at the start of the season, nobody expected Alabama to be here. And I think obviously it's not a huge shock, but still, this was not the Alabama team that people picked coming out of the SEC saying, oh, well, it's Georgia's time. It's Georgia's season now. This is their run. But no, when you least expect Nick Saban to be in the college football playoff, there he comes. Nick Saban, you can't ever count him out. Somebody who has won 7 national championships. I will give my MVP of the weekend to Nick Saban.
Chelsea, these numbers aren't that big. Like Jamar Chase's longest reception tonight is 20.5 yards. T. Higgins' longest reception tonight is 18.5 yards. Tyler Boyd, 15.5 yards. Like, I don't really love the receiving yards. I don't love the receptions. I don't know if I trust Browning to get them the ball consistently, but I promise you they're going to try to attack, and he's going to give his receivers opportunities. That's what they're probably telling him this week in practice. Like, you got Jamar Chase. You got T. Higgins. Like, these guys are number one receivers. Give them a chance. Those are long numbers. I think, to me, that's the play. I'm playing Jamar's over 20.5, and I'm playing T. Higgins over 18.5, certainly.
And I will say, PJ absolutely nailed it the last time that he gave out a longest reception prop on DK Metcalf. I think that won like 3 times over. But also another point that I will add, I think a lot of people think, okay, now that T. Higgins is back, it's going to be harder for Jamar Chase to get his prop. But also, wouldn't it open up his opportunities a little bit more now that the defense can't necessarily key in on him 100%? So maybe it actually helps Jamar Chase. And I think he's been saying that to the media all this week. One that I have already played, and it's already gone up 4 yards, is tight end Evan Ingram for the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you're strictly looking at the matchup and the weakness that the Bengals have, they're giving up the second most receiving yards to opposing tight ends of any team in the league. They just got absolutely smoked by Pat Freiermuth of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tight end for them went over 100 receiving yards. Maybe it has something to do with the scheme changing for the Steelers, obviously with the new offensive coordinator. But still, the Bengals defending tight ends has been a struggle all season long. Evan Ingram is a great tight end that has a relatively high floor. He has gotten at least 6 targets in each of the last 5 games. So his number right now, I believe, is 45.5. It was 41.5 last night. So clearly some people are liking this prop as well. But still, it feels like a night where Evan Ingram can at least get 246 yards. PJ, is there anything else in this game you think bettors should know about?
The Ingram is a great call. That's where I was going next because you're right. I mean, Freiermuth just, 9 catches, 120 yards. He was awesome. I think the other thing would be to look at ETN and just his rushing yards. You know, nothing fancy, but he's been great for Jacksonville this year. You look at what the Steelers did last week. Najee rushed for 99 yards. Jalen Warren rushed for 49. They are favored by 10, so if things follow suit, if Jags do blow them out, cover this game, probably going to run the ball a good amount, and they're going to feed ETN. So would look at that. His attempts is at 16 and a half. Maybe go over that as well. I could certainly see him getting around 18 and 19. But if you're talking Jacksonville, I mean, Evan Ingram, that's the guy.